Echoes of the Forgotten. Prologue. In the year 2371, humanity had conquered the stars. Cities floated in orbit, and artificial minds whispered secrets to those who could listen. But despite all their advancements, there remained one mystery that no scientist, no AI, no explorer had ever solved: the echoes. Faint signals, barely distinguishable from cosmic background noise, repeated every 13 years from a point in deep space where nothing should exist. They were first detected in 2095, dismissed as a random anomaly, then studied in secret by governments that feared what they did not understand. Until the echoes changed. The latest transmission, received on Earth's most powerful deep space array, was no longer just static. It was a voice, human, desperate, and speaking in an ancient dialect of English. They erased us, but we are still here. Find us before they do. Chapter 1. The Ghost Signal. Dr. Rena Calloway, one of the leading xenolinguists of her time, sat in front of the decrypted transmission. Her heart pounded as she replayed the message. The voice was distorted, but undeniably human. And the warning. It sounded urgent. Rena had spent her career deciphering alien languages, but this was something different. This was a distress call from the past, or worse, from a version of the past that no longer existed. A secret initiative, Project Janus, had been monitoring these transmissions for over a century. Their conclusions were terrifying. The echoes were coming from a point in space where no civilization should exist. And every time they were received, history seemed to shift in subtle, eerie ways. People disappearing from records, scientific discoveries changing slightly, memories not quite aligning with official history. It was as if something, or someone, was rewriting reality itself. Chapter 2. The Vanishing Planet. Rena was given clearance to board the ISV Horizon, an experimental faster-than-light vessel with one mission: trace the echoes to their source. Alongside her were Captain Elias Rourke, a battle-hardened officer who had seen things the government refused to acknowledge, and Dr. Vale Mercer, a quantum physicist obsessed with the theory that time itself was a fragile illusion. Their destination? Sector 13Z, a void in space where no planet, no star, no structure should exist. Yet, the transmissions were coming from there. As the horizon approached the coordinates, something impossible happened. A planet appeared where there had been only emptiness. It was not on any star chart. It was not supposed to exist. And yet, their sensors confirmed. It was once Earth-like, oceans, forests, cities. But now, it was dead. Blackened towers stretched toward a sky filled with swirling distortions, as if reality itself was unraveling. On the surface, something moved. Something human-shaped, yet wrong. Chapter 3. The Forgotten Ones. The team landed near what seemed to be a ruined metropolis. Structures were eerily familiar, resembling buildings from Earth's 21st century, but twisted, like a memory half recalled. Then they found them. People, hundreds, wearing ancient clothing, speaking in forgotten languages. They looked like ghosts, pale, translucent in the dim light. But they were alive. One of them stepped forward, a woman, her eyes locked onto Rena's. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered. Rena recognized her face immediately, because it was her own. Chapter 4. The War That Never Happened. The Forgotten Ones explained the unthinkable. This world, this dead Earth, was a version of humanity that had been erased. A timeline that once existed, now abandoned like a corrupted file. Something out there, a force, a being, a mind vast beyond comprehension, was editing reality, pruning history like a gardener pulling weeds. Every time it altered something, remnants of the old reality echoed into the void. The Forgotten Ones were people from erased timelines, left stranded in a place that should not be. And Rena's arrival had made her one of them. Chapter 5. The Architects of Time. From the ruins, the team uncovered a structure, a tower that seemed to exist outside of time, pulsing with energy older than the universe itself. Inside, they found a machine, a vast construct built by an unknown intelligence. It was rewriting history, its algorithms determining which civilizations lived and which were erased. The truth was chilling. Humanity was not the first to be rewritten, and soon it would not be the last. Something had noticed their presence. Reality itself shuddered. The last thing Rena heard before the universe folded around her was her own voice, whispering through the echoes. They erased us, but we are still here. Find us before they do. Chapter 6. The Collapse of Reality. The world around Rena shuddered, as if the very fabric of time was rejecting her presence. Buildings stretched and twisted like reflections in broken glass. The sky darkened to a deep, unnatural void, and a low, droning sound vibrated in her skull. Her body felt light, as if she were being pulled away, not just from the ground, but from existence itself. "They're correcting the mistake," her doppelganger whispered. "They know you don't belong here." Rena turned to her team. Captain Elias Rourke staggered, gripping his head as his form flickered, his body seemingly caught between two versions of himself. Dr. Vale Mercer stared at his own hands in horror as his fingers blurred, vanishing and reappearing. Then the forgotten ones began to scream. One by one, the remnants of lost civilizations disintegrated into golden dust, their bodies dissolving like smoke caught in reverse. Their voices rang out in horror, swallowed by the void. Rena knew what was happening. The architects of time, the unseen force rewriting history, had detected the anomaly, and now they were erasing it. "Run," her double shouted, "before it takes you too." Rena didn't hesitate. She grabbed Rourke by the arm, pulling him toward the towering monolith in the city's center. Mercer stumbled after them, gasping as the distortion in his body grew worse. Behind them, the world collapsed. Streets buckled, buildings crumbled into nothingness, and an invisible force wiped away reality like ink being erased from a page. The Tower of Time, the source of the echoes, was their only hope. Chapter 7. The Tower of Time. They reached the entrance, a jagged tear in reality where a door should have been. Rena braced herself and stepped through. The interior was impossible. The walls stretched into infinity, yet enclosed them. Hallways looped in on themselves. Doors opened to nowhere, and suspended bridges twisted through gravity-defying voids. The air hummed with energy, charged with something older than the universe itself. At the center of the vast chamber stood the architect's core, a machine unlike anything Rena had ever seen. It was alive. Thousands of interwoven strands of energy pulsed within it, each one a thread of time. The threads branched and twisted, forming an immense cosmic loom, continuously adjusting, severing, and rewriting the fate of entire civilizations. And then they appeared, the architects of time. Chapter 8. The ones who edit reality. They were tall, shifting, their forms made of pure light, yet their presence was suffocating. They were not gods, not aliens, but something else entirely, editors of existence. One of them turned, its faceless form rippling with unreadable expressions. "This is an anomaly." Its voice was not heard, but felt, vibrating through the marrow of their bones. "You should not be here." Rena stepped forward, her mind racing. "Who are you?" The architect regarded her. "We are the correction, the balance, the hand that prunes the tree of time. You erase entire civilizations," Rourke growled. "We refine. We remove deviations. Your world was one of them." Rena's blood ran cold. "You're saying Earth, our Earth, was erased?" "One version of it," the architect corrected. Then it raised its hand. Reality fractured. Memories Rena never had flooded her mind. Different versions of her life, different choices, different outcomes. She saw Earth as it should have been, untouched by the architects. A world with billions more people, a history vastly different from the one she remembered. And then it was gone. "You are not meant to remember," the architect said. "Your existence is over." The world began to unravel again. Chapter 9. The Fight for Time. Mercer was the first to react. He pulled out a device, a quantum destabilizer meant for deep space rescue missions. It wasn't meant to be a weapon, but in this collapsing reality, he had an idea. If time is a thread, he muttered, then I can cut it. He activated the device. A shockwave rippled through the tower, severing strands of light. The architects screamed, their forms distorting as parts of reality blinked back into existence. The Forgotten Ones reappeared, gasping in shock. Rena realized what Mercer had done. He had disrupted the rewriting process, forcing deleted realities to resurface. But it wouldn't last. We have one chance, she said. We have to take control of the machine. The architects descended upon them. Chapter 10. The Final Choice. Rena reached the core. The machine pulsed, waiting for an input, waiting for someone to decide which version of history would remain. The architects tried to stop her. Rourke fought them, firing his pulse rifle into the shifting forms. Mercer was collapsing, his body flickering. He was caught between two versions of himself. The machine spoke directly into Rena's mind. Choose. The screen displayed options. Restore the forgotten timeline. Bring back the billions erased, but risk destabilizing time itself. Preserve the current timeline. Sacrifice the forgotten ones, ensuring stability. Rewrite everything. Create something entirely new. Rena hesitated. Her heart pounded. There was no perfect answer. No matter what she chose, someone would be lost. She took a breath and pressed a fourth option. Override. The tower exploded in light. Epilogue. The echoes remain. Rena woke up to a world that was both familiar and alien. The city was intact, but different. History had been rewritten, but not erased. The Forgotten Ones were here, living among people who had never known they were gone. The architects were gone, or so she thought. As she walked through the crowd, she caught a glimpse of something, a shadow that did not belong, a flicker in time, and then, in the distance, a whisper in the wind. They erased us, but we are still here. The end.